Listen, I don't mind the long car ride because we're catching up on some podcasts and listening to some tunes, but it's been like 5 hours, and you still haven't told me where we're going.
I'm taking you to a holy place.
Are you okay? Because holy places and us don't mix. It's kind of like Pop Rocks and Coke.
I've seen the light. Soon, so will you.
Dan, this is a church.
Trust me, come inside and you'll see the light. This green light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This green light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This green...
Holy shit! This is a church about green lanterns. Look at all those lanterns. How'd they get them to burn so green?
It is not the Church of the Green Lanterns. It is the Church of the Green Lantern. Sit, listen, and accept that he will guide us into the brightest day.
The guardians said unto him that with the powers bestowed to him he cannot control life and death. They tried to rip the restored coast city from the prophet. For that the Lord punished these false rulers of the...
Holy moly, Batman! This isn't a church for Green Lantern. It's a cult for Hal Jordan. Hal Jordan's the shittiest Green Lantern. Kyle Rayner could cream that fool.
Heretic! Non-believer!
Got a blast!
Alright, and we are back with another pulse-pounding episode of Super Sons, your favorite DC Comics podcast. You don't have to lie to us. We know. Jake, how the hell are you?
Oh, I'm pretty good. The pulse pounding for us is kind of the, audio problems.
Yeah, this week Jake's Wi-Fi has decided to be shit, and my mic broke. So I'm going with the backup one I had in my drawer. And Jake is recording in our family room, so if you hear a screaming cat, that's just Roxy.
Yeah, no, I'm not murdering anybody. It's going to sound very human, but it's a cat who wants attention.
It's disturbing.
It is disturbing. I don't know where she got it from.
So, after our last episode, after we kind of shit-talked Peter David, this week's Young Justice episodes had one written by the Peter David, and it was fantastic. Something about him in writing like young adult characters is great. Like, he does it really well. Just not Aquaman.
Yeah, no, that was really bad.
That weird time where Jamie Madrox had the baby, but it was a dupe, and then he sucked it back into himself. Oh shit! Sorry.
Shh, Dan.
God damn it! I know. They're gonna come after us.
Other side.
They're gonna come after us. Yeah. The only thing I have written for update in our outline is Forager. The best thing that's ever happened to the DC universe and comic book media as a whole. Both sides, Image, Boom, everything. Forager is the greatest gift to man. He is a precious angel, and if anyone hurts him, they'll be held to pay. Oh
god, that one part of the episode.
So scared. But if you're not watching Young Justice, you should really get on that.
And if you live in the US, you're able to. And I think a few months, once it's over, the season is over, it should be up on Netflix like Titans is in other parts of the world.
Yeah, international.
That's not the US.
That's how they're going to do it. They're going to wait till it's over, then a month after they put it up. All right, so, Jake, who are we talking about today?
We are reading 2 Green Lantern stories, both written by John I just said...
Were you going to say John Marston? What?
No, I was going to say John Mars. Like, because I think Jean Martian Manhunter. That's what I was thinking about for some reason.
That's got Oreos on the mind. Ron Mars wrote today's stories. A prolific
I also
90s?
have the most 80s. Stuffed Oreos.
Oh, how are those?
I don't know. Sophia is raving about them.
They're some thick cookies. 2 C's. No K.
Serving size 1.
Good.
I'm not kidding.
Yeah, so we're talking about Green Lantern. Were these stories early 90s?
Yeah.
Okay. So both of these stories are from the early 90s where DC was going in a direction. Ron Mars wrote both of these stories. He wrote most of Kyle's run, didn't he?
Well, one of our stories is from 2007.
Wait, Ion's from 2007?
Yeah.
Was Kyle Green Lantern until 2007?
Yeah.
No.
So if I'm right, Rebirth took place in 2006.
Rebirth?
No, Green Lantern Rebirth.
Oh, yeah. So wait.
Not that Rebirth.
Wait, Kyle Rayner was like the main Green Lantern, or he was just like a Green Lantern?
He was the main Green Lantern for a long time.
But when did Johns reboot him? Reboot Hal?
No, oh, never mind. I was wrong. It was 2004.
Right.
Into 2005.
Right, okay. So, once Hal came back, he wasn't... Wow, that's a long time for a legacy character to be in charge. That's kind of crazy.
Well, I mean, not really, if you think about it. Wally West was the Flash for a lot longer.
And there it is. We mentioned Wally West, one of our episode staples.
Yeah, no, it only took me 5 minutes.
So, for those who don't know, the main Green Lanterns are Hal Jordan, John Stewart, the Guy Gardner, and Kyle Rayner. And then there's...
Well, there's...
Jessica Cruz and... what's his name?
God, I was saying it just earlier today.
I literally looked it up earlier so I wouldn't forget it.
We're going to have to cut this bit.
We're going to figure this out. Well, doesn't matter. Those two have become irrelevant again.
Well, everything in the Green Lantern universe is relevant.
Right. So, those 4 Green Lanterns are pretty much the main ones. Today, we're focusing on 2. Hal Jordan, the big one. And then
Simon Baz.
That's it, Simon Baz. I wanted to say Abin Sur, and I was like, no, that is not who I'm thinking of.
Yeah, no.
So
Simon Baz, the gun-toting Green Lantern.
Yeah. So once again,
who also has a tattoo?
Hal Jordan, the biggest. He's always going to be the main, and then Kyle Rayner, who took over in the '90s, and
wait, no, we forgot one. We forgot one of the main Green Lanterns.
Kilowog.
Alan Scott.
No, he doesn't. He's not. I guess he's relevant.
At least not in these stories.
Yeah, he's the original.
He is the original, and he does come up in our story twice.
So we're going to talk about... we'll probably talk about his story in the end, because he's completely different than the rest of the Green Lantern Corps.
Well, I actually have something written about that.
All right. So
because it's used in explaining Ion as a power source.
All right, so we'll explain that later. So, our first story is Emerald Twilight / Emerald Dawn. 2 stories they put into one
New
collection.
New Dawn.
Why do I keep saying Emerald?
Because it sounds better. It also fits thematically with the trades of what they were doing. Because it came out... Oh, never mind. Emerald Dawn is what they call Hal Jordan's origin story and this section of trades that came out.
Yeah, it's a retelling though, isn't it?
Yeah, there was a retelling. It was Emerald Dawn, and in the trades it's Emerald Dawn 2, where he's training with Sinestro.
The Electric Boogaloo.
Then the Road Back. And
that doesn't matter. Irrelevant. Let's go back let's go back to.
Sorry, everybody. This is a mess.
The creative team. We got Ron Mars as writer. Pencilers are Derek Acoin, Daryl Banks, Steve Carr, Craig Hamilton, Fred Haynes, Jamal Eagle, and Bill Willingham. Inks by Robert Campanella, Dennis Kramer, Romeo Tanga. Colorist Steve Mattinson, Anthony Tolan, and letter is Albert de Guzman.
I'm kind of surprised that there's so many different pencilers on this trade, because it all looks like one cohesive piece.
Yeah, the art in this is solid.
Most of the time when you have that many pencilers, it's because there's a deadline that the main artist couldn't reach, so they just brought a bunch of people on. But they did it seamlessly. It's really good.
Yeah. So
I think the art in both art books today are pretty good.
Yeah, I think this one's better. But our story opens during the reign of the Supermen. It's something that's not really explained in the actual story, so I wanted to go into it a bit. So for those of you who don't know, Superman died for like a hot second. While he was dirt napping, 4 other Supermen showed up. One of those Supermen was Cyborg Superman, who teamed up with Mongol, who runs Warworld. They blew up Coast City with a series of bombs to stage a place for them to do bad stuff. And Coast City is actually where Hal Jordan is from. So the first page opens...
Well, hold on. Thanks for ruining the movie for me, Dan.
You know, the movie takes a whole different turn that you'll never expect.
Good.
So the first page is of Hal Jordan sitting in the crater that once was his home. He's just beaten to shit. One of his arms looks like it's broken. He's lost his shit. So he's drowning in grief and guilt. He uses his ring to literally bring back the city and the people who lived in it. So it's a big green globe, and it starts off with a hallucination. It's not a hallucination, it's a construct of his father. And they're saying all the things they wanted to say to each other before he died in a plane crash. And before his dad pretty much says he wasn't proud of him, he vanishes. A vision of his mother shows up, and they go back and forth about how his father was and how she learned to live after his death. Hal's basically just projecting his own thoughts and feelings and shortcomings into the physical world. So we further see him do this as he keeps walking through his town. His teen sweetheart is under a tree looking like something out of a 50s movie. They start talking about how if he hadn't been such a screw-up, they would still be together and everything would be fine. And then she says she was in the city when everything happened, and it was painless. It happened pretty quick. So
it's kind of I'm gonna say it's a little weird to see the way he talks to her, even though it's just in his head. But Hal is considerably old at this point.
Yeah,
at least
got those gray
before it got retconned to being part of big space cricket.
All right, we'll talk about that later. So basically, he walks into his childhood home, and his dad is sitting at the kitchen table, and he sits across from him. And it gets almost to the point where his dad says he's proud of him, and then everything dissipates, and he's standing by himself in the ruins of what once was his city. And one of those little guardians is floating above him, and they're like, "Yo, dude, you can't fucking do this. That's not cool. That goes against everything these rings stand for. You're doing this for personal gain. You're going to come back to Oa with me to be punished," basically. And Hal's like, "Nah, dude, fuck that." Takes his ring, destroys the construct, and takes the energy out of it. So now Hal is on a one-man mission to destroy the Guardians. He decides he's had enough of being their whipping boy and takes off towards Oa, the home planet of the Green Lanterns, where they're going to bring him for trial. Instead, he's going to bring the ass whooping to them. So, as he gets closer to the planet, his pain and sorrow turns to anger very, very quickly, and his will to destroy the Green Lantern Corps is palpable. He doesn't hate the Green Lanterns, he hates the Guardians. The Guardians are these little blue men who reign over everything like gods. They've done a lot of fucked up shit. Even after every retcon and everything, they're still fucked up. They look over everyone like they're gods.
Except for Ganthet, who's just like, hey guys, can we think about this? And then all the other Guardians are like, nah, we're angry blueberries. Leave us alone.
Yeah, Ganthet still sucks. They all suck. The Guardians suck. They're so unfeeling, they don't care about anything. So they start sending wave after wave after wave of Green Lantern to stop Jordan. Some he recruited, some were his closest allies, and others looked up to him like he was the greatest Green Lantern that has ever lived. Each falls as his will to destroy the Guardians stops any inability to help others, and he just wants to take out everything that gets in his way. Kilowog, one of the greatest Green Lanterns,
the best Green Lantern,
stops to face him. These two have been best friends since the start. They're as close as can be, and Hal just wrecks him. Kilowog is laying on the ground, beaten and bloody, and Hal takes his ring and walks away. As Hal's been mowing through Green Lanterns, he's been taking their rings. So this dude's got like 10 fucking rings on his hands. He's ready to brawl. So he finally gets to the main part of the city near the actual Lantern Battery. So the main source of power for the Green Lantern Corps is a giant Green Lantern on Oa. Later it gets explained, but right now it's literally just a big old lantern full of energy. Once he gets up there, Sinestro, his former teacher, his mentor, and then his greatest enemy, who turned away from the Green Lantern Corps, is waiting for him with the Green Lantern ring on. He was kept in the Lantern as a prisoner, right?
Yeah, I think there is a prison in there. Well, there's a big prison.
Yeah,
the giant space cricket. We don't talk about that.
He was kept in the Lantern as a prisoner, and then he comes out of the Lantern with his cool-ass suit, ready to fight Hal Jordan. They start fighting with the rings and stuff, and Sinestro's just taunting him. He's like, you can fight me one-on-one, mano-a-mano, ring on ring. Hal takes off all of his rings except his own, and basically says, I just want you to know that I can beat you. I've always been able to beat you. So they start fighting. Sinestro's just egging him on, doing all that kind of stuff, and then Hal and he just start trading blows. There's no more lantern rings. It's literally just two dudes slugging it out. And then he beats Sinestro, but insult to injury, snaps his neck, kills him.
After Sinestro taunts the hell out of him.
Yeah.
Just like, I'm the lesser of two evils here, buddy.
Yeah, he just pushes Hal to further off the edge than he already was. So Hal's ready to straight up walk to this lantern and destroy it. And then Kilowog shows up and just starts kicking the shit out of him, punching him, and Hal's not even defending himself at this point. Hal knows that he's gone too far. He knows there's no turning back. And then he kills Kilowog. He just straight up blasts him with a ring, and all he is left is his bones. He goes up to the lantern.
Which is why Hal Jordan, worst Green Lantern, worst human being.
Hal Jordan, best Green Lantern. Hal Jordan walks up to the battery, the Guardians show up, and the Guardians like, yo, dude, fuck you. And they don't even try to stop him. He picks up one of them, is like screaming at them, and then he's like, fuck this, drops his ring and walks into the battery. The Guardians are like, oh shit, this is the end. Like, we literally can't do anything now. He won. Like, what are we going to do? So they all decide to protect Ganthet and give him a little bit of energy to find one last torchbearer throughout the galaxy. And Ganthet kind of has like a hard-on for humans. So Hal goes into the battery.
He does have a hard-on for humans.
Goes into the battery, and it blows up, and what stands in the rubble is... Do they call him Parallax at this point?
I mean, he's wearing the design. He's wearing the Parallax design.
Hal Jordan is wearing the most badass costume he's ever had. And this is where it should have ended for Hal Jordan. Hal Jordan should have become a villain from here on out. But back on Earth,
a young artist is at a bar, and he walks out into the alley, and Ganthet shows up in his little red dress, talks to the young man, who is a pretty inebriated Kyle Rayner, some call him, say, Rainier, which weird. But sorry, I wasn't ready for that. For the normal or unconventional switch.
Mm-hmm.
But Kyle's just like, wait, what just happened? And a homeless man in the alley clearly saw him too. So he was like, well, I guess it wasn't the booze. He goes, and then it cuts to Kyle having his first fight with a supervillain, and it doesn't really go well. He kind of just wins by luck, but it also cuts in between Kyle showing up to his then ex-girlfriend's apartment, and knocking on her door in the middle of the night saying, hey, can I come in? I got something to show you. And then he just becomes a Green Lantern right in front of her, and she's like, you're an idiot. This is the dumbest thing you've ever done. Why would you do this? And then he explains everything, and then he starts to fly. She explains who Green Lantern was, because Kyle was like, oh, wait. Oh, yeah, that guy was kind of cool. And then Kyle tries to get his way. She takes him back. He tries to get into bed, and she's like, nah, not going to happen. You take the couch. And then it goes back to the fight, and it's just him getting wrecked. Because it's literally the first time he's used the ring, other than to make the costume and to fly. And then everyone's like, hey, look, it's Green Lantern. They don't realize it's not Hal Jordan. Because the black hair wasn't a big enough tip-off.
I think someone says he has a different hair color.
They do, but they don't realize. They don't make the connection. It's like, oh yeah, it's clearly a different person. Which is also strange because I'm pretty sure a white guy and a guy who's half Mexican are going to be kind of obviously different. Like,
yeah,
there's going to be skin
it's
tone
the same
too.
thing with Superman. It's like you don't ever see him that close up. Like you're not doing like face-to-face interviews.
Oh no,
with him.
they literally walked up up to him.
Right, they walk up to Kyle, but they never walk up to Hal.
Oh well, yeah. This is a different city too.
Right.
So, and then it cuts to Kyle and Alex on the beach, and her saying, "You know what? You need to make this your own. You can't just pretend to be him." So he designs what's probably one of the coolest Green Lantern designs of all time in his original crab mask costume.
I think that mask is stupid as fuck. The rest of the costume is banging.
Oh yeah, I don't. It's like that weird brow ridge thing that I don't like. Mm-hmm. But I like the mask. It's not my favorite mask that he wears. I like his White Lantern mask. And then it cuts to one of the people that helped destroy Coast City, one Mongol, as he starts a prison riot and a breakout. And then it cuts back to Kyle, who's getting a photo op from his photojournalist girlfriend, Alex. And then it kind of goes into him training on how to do things. He shows the old symbol. He shows his new symbol. And then she's like, Kyle, you've gotten the basics. Make something more complicated. So he decides to make a light construct of her in a swimsuit. And she's not having that. And then it goes more testing, which, blah, blah, blah. And then it cuts back to Mongol and various other criminals fighting their way out of the slab, which is a superhuman prison. Among the people leaving that is not Mongol is Major Force, who will come back later. You got anything to say, Dan? You just made a noise.
No, I'm just waiting for the good part to get here.
Is that the end for you?
No. When Mongol goes and attacks him, the best version of Superman shows up.
You're right, it is the best version of Superman.
Superman with a motherfucking mullet.
But during the breakout, Mongol finds another alien prisoner from a race called the Kund, and kills him. Just smashes his head as the man is saying, "Wow, oh my God, it's the mighty Mongol." And it's just like, no. The only reason I bring that up is because of our next story. So then it shows him interrogating people, trying to be like, "Where's Superman? Where's Green Lantern? Blah, blah, blah." And then it cuts back to the homeless man who is talking to some people in Washington, D.C. for some reason. I don't know how he got there. Or this might be a different homeless man, but it's definitely a homeless man. And he has this green rock that he's just showing to them, and he's like, I'm going to take this. He's selling it to them. And then it cuts back to... There's something Ron Mars really likes to do. He likes to cut in between various things in the same issue. Which is more shown in the next story, but... And then as Kyle is still training on the beach with Alex, Mongo decides, "I'm here to kill you, Green Lantern," and then jumps on his face into the ground and then punches him out of the hole in the ground that they just made. And then Kyle's just get shit kicked out of him. He's trying.
Oh, and then he shows up, the big man of the fucking hour.
Mullet Superman. Did you want to say that?
Yeah, no, I just love Mullet Superman. Basically, they just fight for them. It's like there's... this part just bored the shit out of me. They just fight, and it's just like, "Hey, wait, you're not Green Lantern." "Oh, no, I'm not the Green Lantern. You know." They beat Mongol.
Yeah, no, it's not as heavy or as big as the last part of the story.
Yeah, it's just like I shouldn't have just read them straight through. I really shouldn't have, because all the stuff you're saying...
You really... This should not have been collected together.
I mean, thematically, it should have, but like, me reading it was like, man, this thing sucks compared to that other thing. So basically,
I enjoyed it, but I also took a break.
Yeah, well, I took a day. You're a Kyle
I'm also
guy.
a Kyle. Yeah, I'm a Kyle guy.
So we got to talk about something before we get to the next part of the story, because it's extremely problematic, and it's something that happens a lot in...
Well, no, we're not done. We're not done with this part, because there's something important about Kyle that's different than the rest of the Green Lanterns.
What?
He doesn't have the stupid ass weakness to yellow.
Oh yeah.
Superman's like, "Oh shit, you can block that laser that was yellow, and wait, Mongo's got yellow skin, and you're able to affect him? Oh boy."
Yeah, I forgot that, because that's stupid too.
Granted, yeah, no, that's one of the best changes that Ron Mars makes.
Yeah. I literally wrote, "His ring isn't allergic to yellow." Skipping past that, doesn't matter. Fridging. It's something that happens it's literally where the term comes from. It's something that happens in a lot of media, where a male's partner is killed in a super traumatic way to affect the male hero. It's just not a really good storytelling technique at all. Like, you can do so many better things.
Yeah, like I understand why Mars does it in this, because the way Kyle was prior to it, he was very much just Hal Jordan clone, and he wanted to be like divert it, but it's a weird segue.
There's absolutely a million other ways he could have done it.
Oh, there is. No, there absolutely
shitty, is. I keep saying Major Laser. What's his name? Major
Force. Major Force.
He's so stupid. He's got an MF on his fucking chest. Major Force shows up to her apartment. Gives
her some flowers.
Yeah, he gives her flowers with a note that says, "I'm going to kill you." And then he kills her, and he shoves her entire body into the fridge. It's pretty traumatic.
And then they fight. Kyle comes back, finds her in the fridge. He's visibly shaken, and during the whole thing, it's a lot. He's so angry. He just beats
yeah. So he gets that. I don't really just skip. This part doesn't matter. He gets that little green rock because his power on his ring is running low, and the Rock turns into a Green Lantern, and he gets power and he beats him. And then he goes back to his apartment.
Well, no. Maybe? I don't know.
So he goes back to his apartment to have, like, he's like about to cry, and Alan Scott, the original Green Lantern, now known as the Sentinel, shows up and basically explains everything to Kyle, gives him the 411, tells him what happened, tells him what the Green Lanterns are, yada, yada, yada. He basically just reads the Wikia page to him. He's like, here you go, you're good. And that's where it ends.
Everyone, I want you to realize that's how much Dan didn't like that part of the story.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know. These two stories are fucking phenomenal. It's just that as I get older, that fridging thing is just so, it's like not even good writing. It's just like, oh, why did you have to fucking do that? And I'm a huge horror movie person. Like, I don't know. There's just better ways to do the hero's journey. But let's talk about the stories.
It was brutal to watch it, though. Like,
yeah. It just wasn't.
I want to talk about one of the, before we get into the real analysis, because it's on my mind. Before she's murdered, the night before, they're about to have sex, and then Alex takes her clothes off, and Kyle's just like, the expression on his face, even though it's covered almost completely by a mask, you're just like, wow. I'm just still astonished how much detail they were emotion they were able to capture with the crab mask on.
Okay, so back to the actual analysis.
Well, that was an art analysis.
Yeah, the art's fucking phenomenal. Like, it's...
Oh, yeah, no, it's so clean.
It really, really, really works for the Hal Jordan part, especially because you can see how angry he is. Because normally he's a jokester. He's the douchebag who sleeps on your couch. Like, he's not a stand-up. As I was saying to you the other day, he's not like Batman or Superman. Like, Batman and Superman have their shit in line in their regular lives and in their superhero lives. Like, they're good. Hal Jordan has like a really good superhero life. He's the Green Lantern. But then his normal life, he loses jobs all the time. He's horrible relationships, and he's just an all-around kind of bro.
Douche.
Yeah, he's just a douche.
Yeah.
So him, like that's like switch is really, really done well in the art and the dialogue. I have a couple that I wrote down and highlighted because I just wanted to read them. When the Guardian shows up on Earth to be like, hey, you're a douche, what are you doing? He said, you use the ring for personal gain. And Hal says, personal gain? This is about personal loss. Another bubble says, and in his grief, Hal Jordan became a dangerous man. Another one, all they made me was a slave, and all I have to show for it is this hole in the ground.
Yeah, I want. How did you feel about them using the framing device of Sinestro explaining Hal Jordan as he goes through space?
Oh, I liked it. I think the dialogue in this is so well written, and it makes me realize that comics, like not modern day, used to have so much fucking dialogue. It's just like bubble after bubble after bubble, like, and I'm reading it. I'm not like, oh man, skimming. It's really well written and just like better prose than anything that's on pages today. Mostly, I don't want to say, but everything. That was also.
I would say that the shift has happened because artists have gotten a little bit better at being able to condense things.
No, I don't think art has gotten better. I think art's always been a huge part. I think it's just that there's less emphasis on that because art, like they're allowing artists to tell more of the story.
That's fair. That's a fair assessment.
I love this story. Oh, I want issue 2 cover tattooed on my chest. I'll post it on the Twitter because it's Hal Jordan with all the rings.
For every issue in both books that we read today, they were phenomenal.
I think one of the most powerful things in this whole issue is just that he's fighting his brothers and sisters in arms. Like, there's people who are like, Hal, I believed in you. You recruited me. You're the reason I'm here. And he's like, now I'm facing those Guardians who treated me like a slave. This is the absolute perfect origin story for a villain. And then John's retconned it and all that kind of stuff. But this, taken as it is, would be the best villain, because he was the villain for 0 Hour, wasn't he?
Yeah, along with Extant, which was Hawk.
Oh.
Who went insane.
Oh shit, one more quote is a Kilowog one. When Kilowog comes back and Hal's like, I've got all these weapons, you can't stop me. He says, it's the warrior, not the weapons. And that was like goddamn.
And then he loses because Hal's got 10 rings.
Yeah, Hal just kicked the shit up. And then even when Hal didn't have a ring, like he only had 1 ring, he still killed him. They know Hal is the best. Like, Hal's not even the most powerful, he's just the best. Because even in Ion, he comes back as it. Like, they called him to help.
Well, no, they did that because he wasn't on Oa. And because
they knew
he's good at not listening. There's a kind of a big shift between the Guardians in this and the Guardians in that.
The Guardians in that are just as shitty.
Yeah, but they back down to Kyle.
Well, yeah, he's way more. He's literally got all of their power and more. Completely different.
Well, he's got their original powers was that they tried and couldn't use.
Kyle at the beginning kind of sounds like he's drifting in life. He can't hold a job or do much, which makes him more like Hal. But then now after this, he kind of is still a drifter. He's just an artist. He's not like... He never gets his shit together either, does he?
Eventually, most of the characters, the way they've been written in the past few years, they all kind of become super dedicated to the core, and they don't really have personal lives, which is pretty much the detriment of the quality. Yeah,
well, the last time Kyle was even relevant after probably 2000, after Hal like is back on top, is the Omega Men, where it's a completely different story.
Whoa, that's not true. That's not true.
Yeah, when was he important? Oh, when he became like the White Lantern or whatever that shit was.
There was also the pretty good Green Lantern Corps series.
Nothing.
But that was also a lot of characters.
Nothing Green Lantern has stuck out to me since until Grant Morrison's Lantern that's going on right now. But we have another story to cover as well, so let's get to that one. You want to start with this?
Yeah, because I know you're not going to want to.
I actually did like this story.
Oh, yeah, no. It was good. Written by, another one written by Ron Mars. I said it right this time.
Mm-hmm.
And pencils by Greg Tuccini, and Tom Grindberg. Inks by Jay Leiston. Colors by Jeremy Cox, and lettered by Rob Lay.
Rob Lay.
Okay. So I want to start out by explaining, because the power that is Ion, as it was originally supposed to be, before it became a willful green space whale. Because both of these stories have really good versions of Ion, and then the other one has Parallax before it became a giant spooky yellow space cricket. But the power of Ion was formed by Kyle Rayner getting the power of the Star Heart, which is the source of the original Green Lantern, Alan Scott, which he passed on to his daughter, Jade, who then bestows the power on Kyle. So the powers mix in his body between the Star Heart and the Green Lantern energies, and they become a Ion, and he doesn't have to wear a ring anymore. So he's just super powerful, which is that's a problem that Kyle's always had, is writers make him too powerful.
Because they don't know what to do with him.
Yeah, but he's actually a likable character most of the time. I mean, that's why he was the Green Lantern for so long. But Anyway, on to the story. So the story starts with a 2-page spread of Ion lamenting as two Green Lanterns float through space with a few more in the background. And then it cuts back to the initial conflict between them, where he's just like, "Can you help me? Leave me alone." And then he hurts them and he flies off into space. And then it cuts to Kyle at an artist's.
Wait! You didn't mention what he did.
He attacked them.
No, but why he's sitting there? They're out there because there's been a huge disappearance of an entire race of people. A whole species had left their planet in their ships, and the entire fleet was destroyed, and he's the only one sitting out there. He phoenixed them.
Oh, no. Yeah, no, I was looking at that page wrong. You're right.
Yeah, he phoenixed them.
He did phoenix them. But, yeah, that was Ion.
And neither of them ever gets punished.
That's true, but, well, there's a reason for that, and we'll get to that. It cuts to Kyle at an artist's retreat where he can't really remember what he was doing, or he just wakes up and he's like, "I don't remember painting that." And it's a painting of a lighthouse in pitch darkness, and the only thing that's light is the lighthouse. And the head teacher at the retreat kind of is like, "Oh yeah," he gives an analysis, then introduces Kyle to a woman named Marissa who doesn't talk and just kind of walks off. And then it cuts back to the Guardians of the Galaxy talking about what's happened in the vaguest way possible, because that's the only way those blueberries talk. Vague, expositional blueberries. That is the Guardians of the Galaxy.
So it goes back to the Guardians talking about what has happened in the vaguest way, what you said. There's vague expositional blueberries.
Oh, I only refer to them in Blueberries in the notes, Dan.
Good.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I'm just going to read straight what you wrote. Then everyone's true favorite lantern, Kilowog, also known as the Wog, who is going drill sergeant on a new recruit as the Lanterns attacked by quote-unquote Ion returned to Oa. Back on Earth, Kyle is doing a charcoal sketch at a local waterfall, where is he attacked by a Thanagarian bounty hunter. And for those of you who don't know what the hell that means, it's a humanoid alien that wears the ninth metal wings. One example is Hawkman, but that's a mess, and that we will maybe get to later. That's probably the most convoluted thing of all time. I'm going to avoid Hawkman stories for as long as humanly possible.
Yeah, but Kyle doesn't understand why he's being attacked, but he fights back anyway.
Yeah. Hawkman has always sucked. I've only liked him in one recent story.
Is that why? Is that why you bolded everything?
Yeah, I bolded it so I could read it.
I'm sorry.
On Oa, the Guardians forbid anyone from going near Kyle because they secretly know what's going on.
Kyle doesn't really understand why she's still attacking him, even though he keeps asking and she keeps accusing him of things. But he begins to think about his blackouts and has a panic attack and runs off to find answers, only to be met with a painful headache. And then it cuts to Ion attacking a Conan the Barbarian style planet, which he then blows up. He blows up, killing a bunch of people besides a barbarian girl, who he then interrogates, asking what is happening to him, and yelling at her and says, "Help me." And then he flies off. And Kyle has this inner monologue. He's just like, "I don't know where the fuck I am. How did I get here?
Wait, hold on.
What is happening?"
I got something. So, Kyle Rayner shows up. Oh, Ion, sorry. Shows up, straight up murders everyone. He's like, "Oh man, what's going on?" That's like the drunk guy at the bar who literally gets in a fist fight with anyone who speaks to him. And then he looks at the bouncer. He goes, "Dude, I have no clue why I'm being taken out. What did I do?" Sorry, now back to your normally scheduled program.
He has an inner monologue asking where the fuck he is. And then he's like, "How did I get here?" And then he falls to the fellow Green Lantern planet that is named Mogo. Comics, people. Comics. And it cuts back to Wog. He's like, oh shit, I gotta be a good little soldier for those poozers. And he calls Hal, because he's not getting in trouble. He'll get Hal in trouble. But he's like, Hal, buddy, can you go help Kyle? We don't know what's going on, but you gotta go help him.
He does it in secret too, so he doesn't want anybody to know who he's calling.
Yeah, but then he's confronted by the Green Lantern secretary, Salak, who more or less says, you beat me to it. And then Kyle wakes up in a swamp on Mogo in his original standard issue uniform to Alex, who comforts him and helps him come to terms with her horrible death by Major Force. She then leaves, and then he's in his first real uniform, the really cool one, but he's not wearing the crab mask, so I guess that's better. And then he's confronted by a fellow superhero and other ex-girlfriend, Donna Troy, the original Wonder Girl, also known as Troya.
God, I got a lot to say about that part. Then it abruptly cuts to Hal Jordan going to the barbarian world and meeting the warrior lady. It cuts back to Kyle, who is confronted by Donna into not being afraid of his new powers and all that comes with them. He's confronting his innermost doubts. In his third Green Lantern suit, he is confronted by Jade, who tells him to embrace the gift she gave him, and that she knew the risks of being a hero, and that her death wasn't his fault. And kisses him, and the illusion changes to him being choked by Major Force. It's a real leap there.
It is. Well, well, not for some people. Some people, that's their main, that's their favorite thing.
Just stop. We're gonna have to cut that.
Yeah, cut that. It's about 43 minutes.
We do not yuck anybody's yum on this podcast.
I didn't yuck their yum, Dan.
So I'm not cutting it. I'm just going to leave it in there.
Oh, God.
He gets beat down, then he embraces the ghosts of Christmas that he's been talking to. Basically, he's told to not be afraid and be the hero, which results by him throwing a punch at Major Force, then him crumbling into dust. Kyle takes off the Green Lantern ring he'd been wearing and embraced the power of Ion. Basically, he's a human battery. He finds, quote-unquote, Ion fighting an army of Kund, which is an alien race that, in his last story, Monko killed one during his prison break. Ion is confronted by Hal, then a brief cut to the Blueberries, and Ion, not knowing who Hal was, and having Hal lecture him, and Ion attacking him, yelling some cryptic shit, and changing into an extra mentally broken Alex Nero, who is basically Kyle Sinestro, Yellow Ring and all. Kyle breaks out a cocoon egg thing on Mogo, and because comics. On Earth, Marissa finds the bounty hunter's bird ship, because that's how her race works. Bird to get real. What the fuck did you? I don't understand.
Birds this, birds that. Fuck a bird, get real wings. Thanagarians, yo.
You barely have a bachelor degree in bird law. You can't understand anything that's written on this page. I should have read this once before.
Yeah, because they're notes. I wasn't expecting you to read this.
All right, so
they were just for me to
Marisha's
go
held at
back
gunpoint.
to.
Hal fights Nero and Kyle swoops in. All totally cool now. They have a quick chat. They hold Nero in a bondage type situation until he breaks and fights Kyle. Kyle takes a semi-powered Ion. Takes the semi-ion-powered Nero down and takes him to Oa, where he's confronted by the Blueberries and clears up what happened to the Lanterns. Turns out Nero was impersonating him, yada yada. The Guardians were promptly... they blow up, only to be caned by Kyle, and the Blueberries say, yeah, this isn't the end. Find out who did this after they back down, to Kyle demanding answers. Then all the Green Lanterns welcome Kyle back. Basically, Kyle comes back to Oa, is like, hey, fuck you guys, what's going on? They're like, oh shit, we were just testing you, bro. Nothing weird about us. We're just a bunch of good guys floating up here. Nothing weird about us, Blueberries. And then he walks outside. All the Green Lanterns are like, oh, Kyle, we love you. Everybody
And then
gets
he gets
into
a fist bump from the log.
No, everybody gets into a big group hug. And then Kyle returns in time to save Marissa from the bird lady. He makes a giant slingshot and shoots the Thanagarian craft into space.
Birds. Birds and blueberries, Dan. Birds and blueberries.
Hold on. I've got something I really want to talk about in this. Where the fuck did I read? The allegory of the cave. Issue 3. Do you know what the allegory of the cave is?
Star Wars?
Yeah, so it's essentially Star Wars, but it's Play-Doh. When you put into the cave, the only thing you bring with you...
Oh, yeah, no, I know that. Yeah.
The only things that are inside are the things that you bring with you. I love seeing that in fiction. It's one of my favorite things, and Kyle does it when he goes to Mogo. Basically, there's this grove on Mogo where all the Green Lanterns go to clear their heads and, like, face what's... Yeah, face what's going on inside them. Basically, it just shows you what you have inside. It manifests through Kyle, through his 3 ex-girlfriends, and the biggest foe that he's ever had, Major Force. God, he's such a stupid...
Well, hold on. For Major Force, why did he have a Green Lantern symbol on him?
I don't know,
None of the other ones did.
Why did he have
None
a
of the other
MF?
Ghosts of Christmas Past did. No, just him.
Well, I mean, Jade
But
was
also,
one.
he's not... Well, no, she wasn't a Green Lantern. Well, was she? Was she? I think she might have been for a little bit.
She was a Green Lantern.
For a little bit, but, like, I don't know at the time if she was.
Okay, so these issues, the first 6 issues of the Ion series, they're pretty good. He really phoenixes out this whole series, but it's not really him. It's another person who thinks they're him.
There's no 10 years of thinking that he killed a bunch of people after he went insane, and somebody else comes in and says, "Oh no, that wasn't Kyle. That was somebody else.
Yeah,
that was just an energy field."
This entire story actually made me like Kyle a little more. Some of the reasons I wrote were him explaining that he's just a guy. I think that was a pretty cool... He's like, I'm just a dude. I just won the lottery with the last Green Lantern, getting JSA memberships, villains, and costume changes. Like, he's actually a cool character.
There's a very good page I saw. It was a crossover between the Justice League and the Legion of Superheroes, and Kyle was apparently, they didn't know who Kyle was. They didn't know he was a Green Lantern, and it turns out one of the members of the Legion is a descendant of his. And at the end, they cut to saying Kyle was really bummed when he found out he wasn't remembered as a Green Lantern, but instead in the future he's remembered as an artist.
That's not really people I remember him now. I honestly liked this story a lot. I also love that when he's fighting the Thanagarian, there's a really cool art thing where his mask slowly keeps breaking down, like it's melting on his face. Yeah, because he's losing his concentration.
The art in the whole thing kind of feels very fluid, but it feels like kind of painty, but it's not.
Yeah,
But it fits the character that is an artist.
Yeah, both of these were really good. I loved that Kilowog was calling Hal, even though he killed him before.
Yeah.
Kyle at one point says crazy as a bed bug, which I wrote, what the fuck, Kyle? Him barging into the Guardians was cool and basically telling them to fucking fess up instead of coming to the planet and killing everybody. Was a good...
I really like the way Nero's constructs work when he actually becomes himself again, even though has like a swirl of ion around his whole body. Like his yellow constructs are fucking insane. They're just like fucking fever dream stuff.
Yeah, but I think this, honestly, I really enjoyed reading both of these, but Emerald was the ascent. It's one of the best Green Lantern stories ever. Yeah,
but that's also, if you don't know a lot about Green Lantern,
Ion's even worse.
No. I wasn't going to say that Ion's better. I was going to say the second half where it introduces Kyle Rayner is a bit more noob friendly.
Yeah, like going into Ion for me was even hard. I was like, what the fuck is going on? I didn't know he dated all these people. I was like, this is too much.
Yeah,
I
no,
really
if that one you can get away with because, whatever. It explains where he got his powers pretty well. But for Hal Jordan, you'd be like, oh, he killed. If you're a new reader, you're going to go through this and be like, he killed them all. And then you're not going to understand what the hell you're reading when you go and read a new comic book.
Yeah. It's just, Ion is like a different jumping on. It is not a jumping on book.
No, neither. I wouldn't say either of those stories are besides the the New Dawn.
Yeah, the New Dawn
story.
But it is a way more essential Lantern read than anything else.
Yeah. Because Sodom yet.
Yeah. So.
Which. The second Ion was just.
There's a second Ion?
Yeah, the Daxamite.
That's so
for anyone who doesn't know, a Daxamite is basically a Kryptonian, but they are weak. They have powers in a red sun, and they're weak to lead.
Is that what Mon-El is?
Yes, Mon-El is a Daxamite, but he's also not weak to lead because he got Brainiac's anti-lead serum, which he normally used to use on Superman, so he couldn't block kryptonite with lead.
He just mixes it with his coffee. Yeah, Mon-El
mixes it with his coffee.
Mon-El was on Supergirl. If anyone was trying to figure out who that was, Jake, we recorded a lot already. Normally we have to fill some time, but this week we really liked these stories, so we had a lot to say other than me and New Dawn. How do you say Poozer? Do you say Poozer?
I say Poozer.
Poozer?
You gotta say it with a Brooklyn accent.
So, the whole rumor, and it wasn't a rumor, it was a thing that was actually in development with Kyle Gass and Jack Black for Green Lanterns. Did you not know that? They were gonna...
No, I know. I heard about this, but I was like, I thought it was a rumor. I thought it was a joke.
No, it was in development. So they were supposed to be the Green Lanterns, but now, anytime there has been voice actors for Kilowog, but I always read it in, Jack Black's voice, tick-a-doo-doo, every time. So...
Kyle Gass is Salak.
Oh, yeah. I just, those that they're in my head. That's... Kilowog for me is Jack Black. Maybe not for everyone else, but for me, that is my Kilowog.
Oh, also, there's another... I forgot to mention this in the beginning. We do have another update. There's another trailer for Shazam.
Oh, the full trailer's not just a teaser, but goddamn, when he jumps off that roof, beautiful.
Yeah,
beautiful.
When he's asking for their finest beer at the convenience store.
One of your finest beers. I'm so excited for that movie. I never thought I'd be excited for Shazam. We're going to cover a couple of his stories closer to the date. For some reason in my head, it was coming out next week. But next week, we're actually going to be covering Wonder
Dan
Woman.
Thought there was only 2 weeks till...
Yeah.
He thought there was only 2 weeks till April.
It's been a long weekend. So, that's all we got. We are Super Sons. Find us on the Twitter at DC Super Sons. Probably going to open up an Instagram soon enough. See a lot of people on there for podcasts.
Yeah, a lot of the more DC centric ones do.
Yeah. If you have any requests, thoughts, comments, critical feedback, not critical feedback, if you just want to tell us we're awful, you know where to find us. Next week, Wonder Woman.
Leave a review. Somewhere.
Yeah, actually, if you're doing reviews, only 5 stars.
But yeah, no. What's best is if you go to your local comic book store, take a hammer, a nail, and a piece of paper that has Super Sons Suck on it, and just nail it to the door. But that probably won't go over well because most doors for real stores are glass. So.
Are you telling him to be like Martin Luther in the 99 Thesis? Going around nailing it? I am. Hey, you fuckers, these guys suck. Go to your local comic book store and buy a goddamn comic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe these ones. But I think most of I'd say buy a comic, but I think they got there's none of them left in trade.
Yeah, this one isn't being published anymore, is it?
Yeah, no, it was someone on Instagram said it was done but you can get it all in Comixology.
Yeah, go on that Comixology tab. All right, so for Dan and Jake, another episode, another day.
We out.
See you in 2 weeks.